Get ready for one of the most moving moments in recent royal history, a moment that brought tears to the eyes of King Charles III and Queen Camilla, and reminded the world of the sacrifice, resilience, and wisdom of the men who fought for freedom 8 decades ago. At 104 years old, Captain Yavar Abbas, one of the very last surviving World War II veterans who served in the brutal Asian front, took to the stage at the 80th commemoration of victory over Japan Day in Staffordshire. Now, we've all seen speeches at these events before, but what made this moment different wasn't just his age, his incredible story, or even his distinguished past. What made the world sit up and listen was his decision to speak straight from the heart, leaving his carefully prepared script behind before a packed audience and standing just meters from the King and Queen. Yavar delivered a powerful salute to King Charles himself, and he didn't just acknowledge the monarch's presence. He recognized his courage in attending despite undergoing cancer treatment. His words, full of respect and humanity, moved their majesties to visible emotion. The king, already admired for his quiet determination in facing illness, was clearly touched, and in that instant, the bond between monarch, veteran, and nation became stronger than ever. But that was only the beginning of this extraordinary man's story. Born in December 1920 in what was then British India, Yavar Abbas grew up in a small town he once described as a one-horse town. When World War II broke out in 1939, he was still a student. By the time Japan launched its surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 and advanced across Southeast Asia, Yavar found himself at a crossroads. Should he fight for the British Empire, a colonial power he openly disliked, or stand aside in the name of Indian independence? Despite detesting imperialism, Yavar and many others recognized that fascism and Nazism posed an even greater threat. So, he joined the ranks of the British Indian Army, one of more than 2 million Indians who served during the war. His early days were frustrating, posted in remote outposts with little action. But then, fate intervened. He saw an advert calling for combat cameramen, and before long, he was capturing history as it unfolded on the front lines. As part of the famed British 14th Army, Yavar filmed some of the most decisive battles of the Burma Campaign, including the bloody struggles of Imphal and Kohima. His footage documented allied soldiers, British, Indian, Gurkha, and African troops, fighting side by side against Japan's expansion. His camera was his weapon, and his battlefield diary, written in ink under shellfire, still survives to this day. He came close to death more than once. A sniper's bullet shattered his camera, killing a comrade beside him. At the siege of Mandalay, he risked his life by climbing onto a tank to get the perfect shot of bombs raining down on Japanese positions. Later, at the fall of Fort Dufferin, he filmed the raising of the British flag, a moment historians now view as a turning point in the war. After Japan's surrender in August 1945, Yavar witnessed the devastation of Hiroshima firsthand. The haunting images of destruction and human suffering left scars that he says still torment him to this day. Post-war life and reflections. When the war ended, India gained independence. Though at the painful cost of partition, Yavar eventually moved to Britain, where he built a new life as a cameraman for the BBC and later an award-winning independent filmmaker. Yet, for all his achievements, he carries one unshakable conviction: that war is futile, despite once believing he was fighting for humanity. Yavar now reflects that the lessons of the 20th century have not been learned. Speaking today, he warns that the ongoing conflicts in the world, from Gaza to other war zones, show that humanity is still repeating the same mistakes. His voice, calm but filled with the weight of history, insists, war is a crime, war must be banned. And so, when Captain Yavar Abbas, at 104 years old, stood before the King and Queen on that commemorative stage, it wasn't just a tribute to the past, it was a living reminder of why history matters. His salute to King Charles was not just about monarchy, but about courage, resilience, and the human cost of conflict. His message was clear: no matter how powerful nations become, no matter how advanced our technology is, if we cannot stop killing the innocent, we have learned nothing. It was a moment that united generations, the veteran who lived through the firestorms of World War II, and a king facing his own battle with illness together. They reminded us that strength is not only found on the battlefield, but in humanity, compassion, and memory. So, as we mark 80 years since the end of one of history's bloodiest wars, perhaps the greatest lesson comes from Captain Yavar Abbas himself, that the true victory is not in conquering enemies, but in conquering the madness of war itself.